I've listened to Oh Wonder by Oh Wonder for 8 years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and happy 2025. I know it's been 2025 for a few episodes, but I can't stop saying it. Welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me is Connor.
I haven't talked to you since last year.
Well, you have, but that's okay. This is like the third episode of 2025.
Oh.
But we're still recording it in 2024, so...
Man, so I'm just completely wrong on both fronts, huh?
Yeah, you are.
We'll try again next recording.
We'll try again next year. Well, I'm excited about every episode, and I say it every episode, but boy, wow, I love this band. I'm so jazzed. I'm so stoked. I found Oh Wonder on the recommendation of a friend back in the fall of like 2016. So, I mean, at that point, this self-titled record that we're going to talk about today was the only thing that they had out, and it was love at first track for me. Livewire hooked me hard right away, but we'll get there. Is Oh Wonder a band that you've ever heard of before?
No.
Doesn't surprise me, but it's the year of discovery. And this album feels like a good album to cozy up with in the cold winter months, which is like why I wanted to throw it in January or February or early in the winter, you know? Good for the year of discovery.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. It's a longer album. We've got 15 tracks, 15 songs, I mean, that happen in 52 minutes, which is long, but not like excessively. We don't have any really lengthy, drawn-out songs here.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Well, guess let's hop to it. If you don't know Oh Wonder, I can teach you things. Oh Wonder is an English duo act. They're from the land of Ing. That's England.
Stupid.
Yeah, well, that's where they're from. And they haven't always been this way, but today, they're a husband and wife duo act. It's been a while, I think, since we've had a couple in the same band like this. I mean, Mr. Wives was a couple that had broken up and were in the same band, but I don't remember, have we ever had a husband and wife band?
I don't think so.
We've had siblings with like the Oh Hellos. That's cool. That's exciting. I mean, we did Beyonce and Jay-Z in separate episodes.
Yeah.
Surely there's been a husband and wife in 184.
I mean, the odds are in our favor.
You'd think, but any of them that could be examples are escaping me. But yeah, the husband and wife duo is made up of Anthony and Josephine Vander West. They've been performing together since around 2011. But before coming together as a group, Josephine was making music as a solo artist and Anthony was in 3 bands. So that's a heavy workload. In 2010, he ended up in the audience of one of her solo shows. And then subsequently, she was in the audience at one of his shows. And at some point they got to talking and they decided to make music together. The rest is history. They started out under the name Wonder, but pretty early on they decided to drop the, I don't know if they dropped the first or the second Wonder, but they changed it to Oh Wonder, which I think is better. Wonder is it's a good name, but there's just a little too many syllables in there.
Sure.
But once they got together, it was lightning in a bottle. They started making music pretty quickly. They made their first recordings basically by themselves with home recording equipment, bedroom demo type stuff. I was already really impressed by them and their music before I knew that, but wow, does that make this self-titled debut album a lot cooler, that they just sat down and did it in their house with minimal production experience. They kind of learned on the fly and created this body of work. They developed this really easy to listen to, soft, synthy style of alt pop that plays really, really well to both of their voices. Most of the time, especially in these early tracks on this first album, they pretty much layer the melody in unison, like at an octave. They don't really mix in a ton of like harmony and different vocal parts, but they both sing most parts on this album like in sync. And it creates this really unique tone and style, which is cool. Like it really makes this album feel close and warm and comfortable. Like even at its highest energy moments, there's this air of like gentleness and softness to it. There's not a lot of hard edges or abrasive moments on this record. It's like a big musical blanket is how I think of it. Once they had a good handful of tracks from this album ready, they were feeling like it was time to release them. And they led up to this debut album in a really interesting way. For an entire year, they would release one single at the start of every month until the album came out. So 13 of these 15 tracks dropped early. And by the time the album came out, the oldest of them, which I think was Body Gold, it was like a year old. It's so cool. And they're actually in the middle of cooking up something similar right now for this record's 10th anniversary next year, or this year, 2025. They've been like drip feeding remixes and re-recordings of these tracks done one by one for the last few months. So they're taking all these songs that they recorded 10 years ago when they had no experience and were just starting out and like redoing them now. And that's really cool. And I can't wait to hear the whole collection.
Yeah.
A decade. Wow. But they're in the middle of that. But what's interesting is because they released this album single by single by single, they never really thought of this self-titled album as like one complete package. To them, it felt more like a compilation of singles, which makes sense if you're, releasing songs before others are written. Of course, it's going to feel kind of disconnected to you because you've spent more than a year of your life working on it. But the band's eponymous debut came out in full on September 4th, 2015. It made it all the way up to number 26 on the UK albums chart, hit number 16 in Canada, even got to number 80 on the Billboard 200 in the US, which is no small feat for the debut of a soft pop duo from London.
The Land of Ing.
The Land of Ing. This is small. That's right. Small pop duo from the Land of Ing. Today, Oh Wonder has sold more than 1 million copies, and actually it was the very first album to sell 1 million units on an independent label, which is wild. And it's racked up 1.5 billion streams, so that's a lot. It remains uncertified over here in the land of...
Us.
Yeah, the land of states. But it's gold in the UK and Canada, and platinum in Russia and the Philippines. It also earned some critical praise. Critics said it was haunting and stunning, and they loved the pair's obvious chemistry. And it was just a heck of a way to jumpstart a musical career. Once this album was out and taken the world by storm, they started performing together live too, as you'd expect. They went on the BBC radio, and then they came across the pond to make their TV debut on Conan. They started touring internationally from the UK to the US to Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Russia, Manila. They went all over the place. They played Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo, a couple music festivals. They even had the chance to open for Halsey on a leg of her Badlands tour, which is pretty cool. When did we talk about Halsey? 37? A long time ago, in a podcast galaxy far, far away. Oh Wonder's second record, Ultra Life, came out in 2017, and by that point, I was along for the ride. I was a fan when Ultra Life came out, and that was so exciting. They did not, thankfully, for my sanity, did not drip feed singles for a year. But they still dropped a new single like every 2 weeks before the album came out. There was a good run-up period of singles. Ultra Life is cool. It really pushes their sound to a new level, and I think part of it is them being more comfortable and trying to push boundaries, and also part of it definitely comes from them having access to a budget and a real studio and not a bedroom setup. Like, the scope of Ultra Life is immense. It's a sonic kaleidoscope, whereas this one's like a sonic blanket. Ultra Life is a kaleidoscope.
That's a good description.
Yeah, thank you.
Blanket versus kaleidoscope.
Yeah, one you lay under, one you look through.
I look through my blankets and lay under my kaleidoscopes, actually.
Well, I'd call you a unique case in that situation. It's louder, it's faster. Ultra Life is higher energy. It's fun. It's an album that I almost considered bringing for this. But the first one is just so unique, so unlike anything we've talked about on the podcast before. I think it's around this time too, 2017-ish, when people started to spread rumors about them being in a relationship, which, don't do that. But also they actively denied it for quite some time. They said, no, we're not together. We're just making music. But then with their third record, No One Else Can Wear Your Crown, in 2019, that's when they finally decided to reveal that they had indeed been in a 7-year relationship. And the fans said, ha, we knew it. They officially tied the knot in July of 2021. So they've been married, 4 years now? That's wild.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, they've also released the records 22 Break and 22 Make. Although I think, it's 2 to break and 2 to make. They're a pair of sister albums. Break is about a rocky period in their relationship. And they call it, quote, maybe the first breakup album in history written and recorded with the person you're breaking up with. And then the sequel album comes from the resolution of that conflict. That's really cool. To date, Oh Wonder has put out 5 studio records and a collection of home tape demos, all really, really, really cool bodies of work. They're all kind of different in their own way, but for me, really, nothing compares to this first record. Like, this is a special one, and it's really cool. Also worth noting, though, recently in 2024, Josephine just released her first solo project. It's called That Woman, and it's all about being that woman, or a woman in general. But yeah, also fun trivia tidbit about Oh Wonder. You said you didn't know him, and that doesn't surprise me, but if you listen to hip-hop a lot, audience, you may very well have encountered Oh Wonder and maybe didn't even know it. Because in 2017, Lil Uzi Vert, who, again, I'm sure, Connor, you may not know.
No.
Yeah, he took a sample from the song Landslide off this album, and he built it into his song, The Way Life Goes. It pretty much lifts the entire verse and turns it into his chorus. That song alone has over 1 billion streams on Spotify, and it debuted at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100. The remix with Nicki Minaj would chart even higher, peaking at number 24. And that's wild. You know, it's fine, but I'm obviously biased towards the original. So, yeah. Anyway, that's Oh Wonder. That's what you need to know about this little married duo making music and just crushing it.
All I need to know?
Well, all you need to know, yeah. Probably not all you want to know. And lucky for us, we're about to know 4 new things from the Mixtaper when we come out and play Factor Spin.
That's the Mixtaper guarantee.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one.
Yeah?
I wonder what kind of facts are out there about this band.
There's some interesting stuff.
I wonder about Oh Wonder. Well, let's bring him on in. That dastard, that villain, that mixer of tapes, the Mixtaper.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Good morning. How are you? We don't usually record in the mornings.
No, we don't.
Are you awake and ready to go?
I got my pumpkin spice latte sitting here to keep me awake.
In January.
It's never a wrong time for pumpkin spice.
I don't know, but I'm glad you're staying awake. That's great.
Sorry, what was that? I fell asleep.
Oh, well, it's gonna be a long Factor Spin.
I got some fun facts here about Oh Wonder.
I would hope so. I would hate for you to show up and be like, I've got some boring facts.
We'll start with the first one.
A very good place to start.
Start at the very beginning.
Oh, good. You got my reference, even though it was kind of like not an accurate one.
Yeah. Their first single was written in 5 minutes.
5 minutes is quick.
5 minutes is very quick.
It may take longer than 5 minutes to get all the information I want from you out of this question. So you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like, and I said before, I feel like their first single was Body Gold, right?
Correct.
Okay. Say more.
Ask questions more.
Well, what inspires them to sit down and start writing this in 5 minutes? Do they set out trying to write a quick 5-minute song, or does it just strike them in the moment?
Well, they were having a writing session in their home studio. And they just spontaneously started playing, melodies together, and it was one of those things where they kind of just created the whole song in one take.
They just sat down and sang the whole thing just straight through?
Yeah. They had to go back and redo it to record it and polish it up, but
yeah, sure. But to write it.
But yeah, they just kind of sat down, and Anthony started playing a melody, and Josephine's added into it, and they started making up lyrics to it, and they quickly had to scribble down the lyrics after they finished on the back of a grocery receipt so they wouldn't forget it.
Grocery receipts are good for last minute lyrics. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of believe it because it's got this really simple melody. Like, the chords beneath it are pretty minimal. Really, what Body Gold captivates me with is its production, and that's all stuff they could do later. But to write the song, you could write it pretty quick. The question is lyrical content. That's interesting, because Body Gold is already one of the more interesting, content songs. It's inspired by, James Bond. They also, to say they wrote the song in 5 minutes, you don't have to have all the lyrics right in 5 minutes. You can get pretty close and then refine and tweak and make it what you want. And I would still say that's a song I wrote in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure they did that.
Yeah, wow. And everyone says that they had that instant chemistry with each other. I think that's a way that you could definitely tell if the chemistry is instant, writing a song in a blink of an eye.
A song that became super popular.
Yes, and we'll talk about how popular it got. Shockingly popular, very fast. I think I'm going to say that this one's a fact.
Lock it in fact.
I'm so sure that they've written a song in 5 minutes. Now, whether it was Body Gold in their debut single, I don't know. But that is certainly a cool thing to be true. And definitely a thing that they would talk about if it was true. A fact that you could find, I'm sure.
This is a spin.
Darn it. It took them 7 minutes.
Spin. It took them 15 minutes and 3 takes.
That is still so short. That's still remarkable.
Knocked it down to 5 and 1.
Yeah, wow. That's wild. 15 minutes is so fast.
But the grocery receipt thing is true. They put the lyrics on the back of a grocery receipt.
Nice. From one of those British grocery stores where you push your cart down the left side of the aisle. Wow.
Off to a good start this week.
I suppose you are. Just imagine sitting down to write a song with someone, and in 15 minutes you pop out this song, and then suddenly you blink and it's 10 years later and it's got 53.5 million streams.
And you're married.
And
To the
you're
person you
married
wrote
to
it
the
with.
person you wrote it with. Yeah. I mean, that's a 15-minute song right there. That's quick. The 15-minute song was a good omen for the rest of their relationship. Let it go, paint my body, spin. You can be a liar and liar and liar.
Moving on to fact number 2.
Yeah.
They once sold a vinyl that smelled like lavender.
Like a record? They sold a lavender smelling record?
Yeah.
Why? Do you sniff a record? Is your nose ever, like, how strong was the scent? Did I have to, like, get all up on it to sniff it? Or if I just, like, took it out of the sleeve, it was like, whoa. I don't know how on earth you'd know that. Sorry.
Well, Oh Wonder is very into the aesthetic of their music and the visuals that go along with it.
As they should be.
And they decided they wanted to pair their calming sound with a soothing fragrance.
Okay. Sure. What album is this that they pressed and scented?
Ultralife.
Ugh, that makes a lot of sense. Ultralife, again, it's a kaleidoscope, right? It's colorful and bright and vibrant. This one annoys me. Let me tell you why this fact annoys me.
Okay.
I was around for Ultralife back 7-8 years ago. I feel like,
So was I.
I know,
I was around 7-8 years ago.
but I was actively a fan and following them on social media, and like I was a part of the run up to Ultralife. And
I see.
this is, if it's true, this is a thing that I know about. This is the thing that I heard about when it was announced. And that sucks because now I don't remember. Did they make any other scents? Is it just lavender?
No, just lavender.
And were all the records scented like lavender? Or was that a special variant of it?
It was a special run of lavender-scented Ultralifes designed to give a full sensory experience.
What'd they look like?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if they looked any different or if they were just the same one but scented.
Why lavender?
Calming scent. It's like one of the go-to scents for like a calming aroma.
Sure, I guess. Now, how do you scent a record? Is it some kind of oil? Like, what would that be? I've never heard of any other scented records. And, like, surely that's a gimmick other people would try. I've heard of records full of fluid, you know, like all kinds of weird stuff, but smell.
So I thought you might ask this question, so I went looking. And I found an article from Atlas Records about how to scent a record.
Great. I'm very curious.
So, crafting scented vinyl records requires a careful combination of artistry, chemistry, and innovation. Here's a breakdown of the key elements involved. Scent selection. First step is selecting the appropriate scent that complements the music or the album's concept. Microencapsulation. Microencapsulation is a technique used to capture and release fragrance over time.
Oh.
In scented vinyl records, microscopic scent capsules are embedded in the vinyl material during the pressing process. These capsules, made of a polymer material, encapsulate the fragrance and ensure its longevity. Vinyl production. Once the scent capsules are prepared, the vinyl pressing process follows the traditional method. The vinyl compound containing the scent capsules is heated and pressed into the desired shape. The record is cooled and trimmed, resulting in a scented vinyl disc.
Yeah, so they just press it right into the record in a capsule.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I never would have guessed. I think this one is also a spin.
Also a spin.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Surely I'd remember a scented record, right? I don't know. It's just a thing I've never heard of. And I don't know if it could be a thing I've never heard of for this band that I've followed for 8 years.
Lock it in spin then.
Yeah, I'm going to lock in spin.
This is a spin.
Woo! There we go. Okay, good. That's a relief. Smells like a win.
Yeah, they did not do this, sadly. But they have done unique marketing strategies such as limited edition lyric books and personal thank you notes for fans who buy their music.
Which is super cool.
And for a bonus point,
I need to tell you the band that's actually got a lavender-scented album, right?
there is an artist we have done on the podcast that actually did this.
That actually made a lavender-scented album.
It was floral scented.
My guess here is a real throwback guess. I would totally believe that Casey Musgraves did this because her latest album,
Oh, big throwback.
yeah, it's very nature imagery focused. She is like huge now, probably bigger now than she was when we did her Golden Hour episode. And she's just all about that, like flowery imagery. The aesthetics of her music are very important to her. I could lock that one in.
It is not Casey Musgraves.
Darn. I'm just saying, it seems like Deeper Well could be.
Do you have a second guess, like on the top of your head, or would you like me to tell you?
I mean, Miley Cyrus did Flowers, so that'd be funny, but I don't think it was her. Lana Del Rey, I don't think that would be Lana Del Rey. Ariana Grande's maybe. Hippocampus could have done this. Bad Sons. I don't know. Yeah, I think you should probably just tell me. Casey Musgraves was a good guess, and it was my best guess.
The answer, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
in his
Wonder.
1979 release of Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants.
I actually did not know he put out an album called The Secret Life of Plants. That maybe would have been a guess I made if I knew about that. Wow.
Yep. Another fun, notable example was in 2014, there was a Ghostbusters Stay Puffed edition that was scented to smell like marshmallows.
That's wild. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a thing that's been done. I'm surprised you've never heard of it.
Yeah, me too.
It's probably not a very popular thing, but it's been done.
Yeah, I wonder how it affects the quality of the record or the longevity of it to have it be infused with a capsule.
Sounds like it pretty much just is the normal process, but throw in some scents.
Yeah, I wonder how long it lasts.
There are other bands that have also not scented their vinyl, but scented their covers or their sleeves.
Yeah, that makes sense. What if you made a record that smelled really bad and everyone that would go, this record stinks, they'd just be talking about it literally. Oh, do it like the Jelly Belly Bean Boozled. Like some versions of the record smell really good and some of them smell like dog poop. And you gotta
Oh.
you never know which one you're buying. Well, that's interesting. We love a stinky record.
Up next, the band once wrote a song using only toy instruments.
Sound toys, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
But actual toy sounds this time.
yeah.
Like a child's xylophone, a kazoo, a small toy piano,
Okay.
those kind of instruments.
And they wrote the song on those.
Yeah, they kind of just made up a song.
Not a real song, like a song they've released and put out, or just to mess around and...
No, just kind of a made up joke song.
For 15 minutes, they sat and did it, yeah.
It's a joke song about returning to their childhood roots.
Oh, that's fun. Why did they do this?
It was part of a fan meetup Q&A thing.
Interesting. Why? Like, what brought it about?
A fan brought them toy instruments, and they said, well, let's make up a song. And they did.
Really? That's wild. Let's make up a song on kazoos and toy pianos?
Yeah. A fan gave them a child's music starter kit, and they opened it up and played around with it, and then signed the toys and gave them out to the fans.
That's pretty cool. But they never recorded this song. It was like a one and done.
No, and I doubt it was even a full-fledged song.
Oh,
right? I'm
yeah.
sure it was just like, oh, here's a little quick ditty. Ta-da.
Ta-da. Yeah.
The only other thing I got is that the song was called Playground Symphony.
Playground Symphony?
That's what they called it.
Wow. That makes it sound like a really intense and well thought out song.
As intense and well thought out as can be done on the fly with a child's kazoo.
I think it's also a spin. It seems cool. It just seems like a thing like during a Q&A, like ask me a different Q. I'll give you an A, but like you don't have to present me with instruments. I don't know. I don't think that seems like
It was just part of a fan meetup event that had a Q&A, a signing, a bunch of other things.
Okay, sure. Well, I don't know. The way that you presented it didn't seem like the proper avenue for that. I don't know. I'm sure they could make up stuff on toy instruments, and I'm sure it would actually probably be pretty decent, but I don't think they did. Especially not writing a song. Maybe I could see them like covering themselves or something else with toy instruments, but to sit down and write a song for the first time on toy instruments with a bunch of people that I just don't know. I don't think it's true. A spin.
Fair enough. This is a true spin.
Thank goodness. The wind-up was big, and I was like, shoot. But then you put a tiny little spin at the end of it, and
Yeah.
good. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I feel like you really got stuck on it being like a full song. I was intending it to just be like, oh, they just made up like a quick joke song to play on the instruments that I was trying to get across.
Yeah, but symphony, I understand conceptually, but...
If I wrote a joke song, I would absolutely call it something like a symphony. Like, that's a hilarious title to give a joke song you just improvised on the spot.
Yeah, but still.
Shame.
A shame for you.
Well, we're moving into our final fact.
Yes. Is it a final ramp? We got 3 cool ones here. It's going to be tough to top.
Oh Wonder's first tour van was nicknamed Wendy.
Wendy the Tour Van. I like that. Tell me more about Wendy. What's her make and model?
Don't know.
Year?
It was a second-hand van that they drove across Europe in and affectionately named Wendy.
So did they name it Wendy, or did it already come with the name Wendy from the first-hand owners?
They named it Wendy.
Like adopting a pet and changing its name. Why Wendy? The 2 things that I think of to associate with the name Wendy are the fast food chain, and Peter Pan. Pretty sure the fast food chain's not as popular over in Europe, but Peter Pan, he's from the land of Aang.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked the name Wendy, but they considered Wendy their unofficial third band member because of how much time they spent with her.
Maybe it's just because Wendy and Wonder are such similar words. Yeah, I bet they spend a lot of time in the van driving around Europe.
And unfortunately, it had a leaky roof.
I've been there. That's no fun.
Yeah.
So, how long was the tour? How long were they with Wendy?
It was their first international Europe tour.
So probably weeks. What happened? So did they rent it from somebody? Did they buy it? Like, what happens to Wendy after the tour's over? Tell me what I don't want to hear.
Well, after they got it, they decorated it with fan scent stickers.
Why are you all about smells today?
No, scent like
scent.
S-E-N-T.
Got it. Not like scent stickers, like scratch and sniffs.
No.
Stickers that fans sent them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you see my confusion.
Yeah.
I was primed to take that in a different direction.
Yeah, fan sent stickers and artwork, making it a moving tribute to their growing community. And then after the tour, they retired it, probably due to its leaky roof.
Yeah, and its age, and they didn't need it. That's cool. Wendy, the tour van. I've been pretty harsh here on giving you spins. I mean, I said fact for the first one, but the last two I've called out. I think this one could be true.
Could be. They all could be. The question you must answer is...
Yeah, I think I'll say that this is true.
He's going with true, folks.
I think Wendy, the leaky roofed tour van covered in sniff stickers, scent stickers, is real.
He thinks I've gone 3 spins and a fact.
I do. Just taking a look at the analytics, I mean, that is a thing you haven't done in a long time. You haven't gone spin, spin, spin fact since Julian Baker, episode 153.
Wow. This is... a true...
Uh-oh. Now it all comes down to whether the last word is fact or spin.
Factual...
All right.
Statement accompanied with another true factual statement. This is a true fact.
This is a true fact all the way through. Goodness, really made me wait for that one.
Really wanted to build up the suspense.
I was suspended. But Wendy the tour van is true and real and probably long gone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Rest in pieces.
Maybe Wendy went to Neverland and never grew old.
Oh, that would be sweet. Yeah. Well, but in the canonical Peter Pan story, she leaves Neverland pretty quickly and does continue to grow old. But this Wendy might not have. Well, rock on. I'll take a 3 for 4 this week. That's a 75%.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's my first win in quite some time.
Yeah. You've been on a bit of a struggle.
A cold streak.
Yeah. But you weren't on the struggle bus this week. You were in the smooth sailing tour van.
Yeah, with a leaky roof.
I guess back to the untrue to come up with more not boring facts and spins.
Yeah, not boring. I think there's a word that directly means that you don't have to use the negative for, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And this is the point in the show where we welcome back Connor. Welcome back.
Exciting. Exciting is the word he should have used.
I think you're probably right about that.
But I'm back.
You are back. Well, let's talk about this album cover. Ow. All it says is OW, Oh Wonder. Guess where we're going to put our logo on this one?
Is it going to go right in the O?
Yeah, pretty much.
The O on owl, or the O on O, or the O in wonder. It's got 3 O's to choose, or maybe all 3.
Maybe all 3.
Place all the O's.
Like tic-tac-toe. 3 O's is enough to win tic-tac-toe. But probably just the big O.
Basic.
You think it's basic? Like the album cover, or just my idea to put our logo in the big O? Because we don't have too many options.
Both. You can make it peek out from under the underside of the W, from the middle.
Yeah, true. I think it's fine for this album. I mean, it's, again, soft. No sharp edges. And this is a very, simple album cover to kind of convey that and match the simpler style.
Yeah, I like it. It's aesthetic.
Yeah.
I kind of think that maybe saying Oh Wonder under owl is a bit redundant.
Is it?
I mean, I understand you're like, oh, most people aren't going to know what the heck owl means, so we should probably put Oh Wonder under it.
Yes.
So that our name's on it somewhere. But I think it would have been bolder and a more significant choice just to let it say owl.
Just to be like an exclamation in pain. You're right. I guess that would have been pretty bold. I like how high up the middle of the W comes. Most W's don't do that.
Maybe it's an M upside down.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, if you flip this album upside down, it says Mo.
It's always bothered me that W looks like a double V, even though it's supposed to be a double U.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure it started out more like a U. But why not even just make it its own letter? Why did we have to double one of the old letters?
And why go with U? I mean, it just happened. You just had U.
Yeah, with a V in the middle. TUVW.
Why didn't we double something from earlier?
Yeah, why'd we just skip back a letter and double it? That doesn't make any sense. Alphabet. Phoenicians, what were you up to?
What would have been the best letter to double if not the U?
I mean, we already use double E's and double O's all the time. Anyway, that's the album cover. We got a lot more mileage out of that than I expected to.
We got 15 tracks to talk about, so we should probably dive into it.
That's right. Livewire is the first of those 15 tracks. Man, one of my favorites.
And now I can finally say,
Yeah.
I recognized this song.
You recognize Livewire?
I don't know where from, but yeah, when they hit the chorus, I was like, I know this.
Wow.
And the only thing I can think of is it's either been used in something pop culture related, because that's where I recognize a lot of things from, or you have played it for me. It's been on like a playlist or something that you had playing.
That certainly could have happened.
But I recognized the chorus.
Well, that's so interesting. I'm trying to look up places where the song is used, and I don't see any. I mean, it's got a music video.
Was it nominated for any awards that I would have heard it? Because back in 2015, I was still more into paying attention to the award shows and stuff.
Looks like Livewire has been featured on Season 5, Episode 16 of Love Island UK. So,
Nope, I haven't seen that.
otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Well, that's cool.
It's a good song.
It is a good song, right? I love it. It's just about that feeling of falling in love with somebody. You know, once you be my Livewire, make me feel like I'm set on fire. Like, oh, there's just this power there. There's just this charged energy. And what a great introduction to their sound. You get a really memorable chorus to back up a really strong verse.
You have an interesting sound.
Yeah.
See, she has that airier voice that I've often criticized.
Uh-huh.
But they do the thing that I've always criticized the other people for not doing. They support it with a deeper sound, usually his voice.
Yes.
Under it.
That's why they match so well.
And so it's got support, and so it actually works, and it's good.
Yeah. And what's cool about that, too, is his voice. Anthony usually sings in like a whispery tone, too. Like, he's not belting on any of these songs. It's another album or two before we get, like, full singing out of him. But, like, it works. It just works. And the chorus is so fun. I love the way that it plays with, like, rhythm. Won't you be my, like, the chord hits, boom, boom, boom. Like, there's an interesting flow to the way the chords land, and I like that a lot. Livewire was the 9th single that they released, so that's wild. And of it, they said, Livewire is one of our favorite songs on the album. It examines the importance of being someone's livewire, their strength and energy. Everyone goes through dark days, and we all occasionally need a helping hand from someone to pull us back into the beauty of life, which is a sentiment that I really love. And they said, human relationships are more important than ever. In today's society, where more and more people are experiencing depression and isolation, we gotta be there for each other. And that's what they tried to capture in Livewire. Make me feel like I'm set on fire and take me higher. Ugh. And I love the bridge. The bridge is incredible. Hold me when I fall away from the lines, when I'm losing it all. Hold me when I put my heart in your hands. Ugh. Incredible. Livewire, it deserves better than its 45 million plays, which is already a lot, but man, love it. It was also the first music video that they made, so it's got that neat distinction. Up next, of course, we've already talked about it a little bit, Body Gold, that 15-minute wonder.
Body Gold.
Man, this song is so old that when they first released it on SoundCloud and stuff, they were still Wonder.
When they first released it, I don't even think they had a name yet, did they? I read somewhere that when they first started releasing on SoundCloud, they did it anonymously.
Maybe.
And then once it started getting popular, then they named themselves Wonder.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, this could predate names, period.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah. Well, they said this is the first track we wrote and produced together. Neither of us had any experience with electronic production. We made this tune in a day on a laptop in Josephine's living room, cutting up drum samples and experimenting. And when I read that for the first time, I went back and listened to it. And just to hear the way that they made the drum samples is cool. Like that, you can hear how the rest of the song was built around those drums. And that's really cool. They said, we waited a year and a half before we decided to actually release it because neither of us had the headspace to entertain embarking on another project. But we're so glad we finally found the time to put it out. Well, like, of course. Look what it's turned into. A year and a half they sat on Body Gold. Wow. They said when they did put it out, it got 100,000 plays in 3 days. Anthony said, we thought something was wrong with SoundCloud. Which, understandable.
To be fair, I might as well
Yeah.
in that scenario.
I know. I'm like, no way. Surely this is they're tracking their statistics wrong. Do you know anything about James Bond and Goldfinger?
Yeah, I've seen Goldfinger.
Okay, what is that about? Because I don't know, and this is inspired by it.
Oh, you haven't seen. I see.
Yeah.
I thought you were just asking because if not, you were going to tell me.
No. Well, I guess like the album art for this track comes from Goldfinger, and it's inspired by it. The title's about it.
What's the album art for this track look like?
It's a woman painted gold laying on a bed, and somebody is putting his hand on her back. I assume, is it James Bond? Is it a Bond villain? I don't know.
Well,
Who's this man? But people being painted gold seems to be relevant.
yeah. Basically, Bond's investigating a gold magnet named something Goldfinger who was planning to like mess with the Fort Knox Gold Reserve.
Okay.
It was like the third ever James Bond movie.
Wow.
And I think the first one to like actually like blow up and like become super popular.
That's pretty cool.
Like I think the first two were marginally successful, obviously, because they kept making them. But I think like Goldfinger was the first one that really shot James Bond into stardom. I could be wrong about that. I'm not the biggest Bond knower.
No, that much is clear. Well, what do you think about the song, though?
Oh, the song?
Yeah,
I think they could have taken an extra 5 minutes.
another 5 minutes would have done wonders for this one. Give it a full 20, guys.
It's okay. It's just compared to Livewire, which I guess Spotify says Body Gold more popular, but I liked Livewire better.
Oh, me too, for sure. They do some really interesting stuff with like the way that this one builds up to the last chorus. There's like this wall of sound that comes in. It's just a different style altogether. A different style that they kind of explore further on Technicolour Beat, spelled in the British way with an extra U. Not a double U, just one.
Imagine if there was a W in color.
I know. Color. Yeah. This one was the 7th song that they put out, which is great. And it's another song about being in love. A lot of these are love songs. You know, you'd think, no wonder people thought they were a couple. They put out love song after love song for like years. But it's really an interesting story too. Apparently, they said, a couple of years ago we went to Melbourne, Australia to hang out with Anthony's brother. On our last night, he took us to his friend's 24-hour house party, replete with hotel slippers, sunglasses, chains, and fresh coconuts. It was insane. Technicolour Beat was inspired by the 6 a.m. sunrise when we were all gloriously happy and free and lying on the floor, staring at the ceilings, feeling blessed to be alive. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
It's about the sun rising at the end of an all-night party, just being happy. I think they do a good job at capturing that sentiment in the song. Caught up in a dream, moving in a Technicolour Beat. So many interesting lines in here.
I like the chorus on this one. The verses maybe were a little flat, but
With Settle Down, Settle Down.
there's a real good beat to that chorus.
Yeah. There's a sound at the end of it, a big synth, like buzz. It just sounds like a
Yep.
big drone sound.
And then it cuts out all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it just descends on you at the end of the song, and it's really cool. What a neat trick. I can't believe that's the kind of stuff they're doing with no production experience.
I know, right?
Oh, it works. Technicolour Beat's a really gentle song. It's a particularly blankety song for me. It feels comfortable, and that's cool. But of course, they can't all be love songs, and the next song, Drive, is not a love song. Drive is a breakup song, actually. It's fully on the opposite end of the spectrum. It was the 12th one that they released. Also, apparently one of the first songs they ever performed live. And they said that Drive is the classic breakup song, but it's written about the drive home after you've done the deed. It's a deeply sad song trying to justify why you've left someone, but we disguised it in an uplifting pop production and glorious strings to balance out the sorrow. Like I can't help but drive away from the mess. You sent this hurricane, loving you's too hard, and I have to drive away from it. It's time to leave it behind me, even if it hurts. This one's more of a piano-y kind of ballad. I feel like this one feels more like a standard sad song, and not like a super not overproduced, electronic-oriented song. That's what I think I'm trying to say. You know, Body Gold and Technicolour Beat are drum samples, they're buzzing synthesizers, they're like electronic at their core. Livewire too. And Drive feels like you could sit down at a piano and play it pretty thoroughly, minus all the strings.
I like how this is another good background music album. Like, this is the kind of album I think I would put on and just let play in the background.
Yeah.
For mood music. Not necessarily something I'm going to be actively listening to.
No, but you could.
You could, but I'm already sensing a lot of, like, we're on what, track
4?
3, 4? And it's been basically the same formula the whole way through.
Yeah, that won't change.
Stripped down versus bigger choruses, layered vocals, similar instrumentation. Like, it's very formulaic so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Which can make it hard to actively listen all the way through.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing.
Individually, these are all interesting songs, right?
Yes.
I find myself intrigued by all 4 of them so far. But back to back, it's kind of like, well, you're not really giving me anything new other than different lyrics. And then, like you said, they're basically all love songs, too. So it's like we're not even getting different themes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the difference is I really like what they're doing a lot. And so I don't get that same kind of like fatigue from it. Actually, it's the opposite.
That's interesting. We'll see how next week goes.
Yeah.
Because I think I am the same way with next week's band.
I think about it, if this album's going to be a musical blanket, think about it like this. Like the first time you pull the blanket up, it's still room temperature, right? But as you sit under it and engage more, like your body heat gets up under there, the blanket gets warmer and warmer and more comfortable. And that's kind of how this album works for me.
I have a 100 square foot blanket.
What?
So I'm instantly warm, and yeah, I have a 100 square foot blanket. It's a 10 by 10.
Okay.
It's amazing.
That's way harder to heat up.
No, it instantly just warms you. It's because it's so big, you can like layer it over yourself multiple times, and it's my favorite blanket. It's fantastic.
Okay. Sure.
It warms me up faster than like my bed comforter.
Interesting. Yeah, but it still starts at a base room temperature. We're not debating how blankets work.
What if it's a heated blanket?
My point is, this album is a blanket, and I stand by that metaphor, even as it gets into the more middle parts.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, what about Lose It? Lose It is one of the bigger songs from this album, one of the bigger hits.
Yeah, we're getting most of the bigger hits right in a row.
It is a little front-loaded and big hit heavy, kind of in this early chunk.
Well, we immediately start with subdued verse with layered vocals.
Yeah, we do. This is one of my favorites.
I do like the clapping and the tambourine or whatever that is I'm hearing.
Yeah, and there's some at least brass synthesizer instruments on here.
Yeah, the instruments do kick in and give us some new notes.
Yeah, it's a song that makes you want to dance, and that's great because the lyrics are all about losing yourself through dance. It is a song that Josephine cites as one of her favorites, and she said it's just about being totally free, losing yourself in a minute and dancing on your own, not worrying about what anyone thinks of you.
This song doesn't make me necessarily want to dance. It makes me want to groove. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate on the difference?
Well, like if I'm grooving, I might just still be sitting in my seat, just kind of bobbing, kind of chair dancing, just kind of grooving to what's going on. A song that makes me want to dance, I imagine like, oh, I want to get up and dance,
Well, don't stop the music. Get into it.
The song doesn't make me want to get up. It just makes me want to kind of roll my head and to the beat, and I'm just sitting here vibing with the song.
Okay.
I'm not dancing.
Well, dancing is a critical part of chair dancing, so...
It's different, though.
Okay. Well, I love Lose It.
When you tell somebody this song's going to make you want to dance, I don't think anybody pictures chair dancing, is all I'm saying.
No, because you just made that up.
What? Chair dancing's a thing.
Let me Google it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cardio chair dance workout for seniors.
Yep, see? There's whole videos on chair dancing.
Well, it seems more like low impact fitness instead of like lose yourself to the beat and in the music. Well, it's a song about dancing, even if it doesn't make you want to dance. But what's cool is the music video, right? One of my favorite music videos conceptually that I've seen. They invited a bunch of dancers to what the dancers thought was a tryout for the musical that they were auditioning. And they started with a small setup and stuff and just said, start dancing. And so they put on the song. I had these dancers do their dances, and over time it became more elaborate. Like they brought in the camera and they dropped balloons on everybody, and it turns out that all these people that thought they were auditioning for the music video were actually performing in it, and they spliced them all together, and it's really cool. Like it was the music video the whole time, even though they thought they were just auditioning. And as they realized that over the course of the video, it's just fun. They get into it more. Are you watching people chair dance?
Sorry, I might have been.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Landslide up next. Landslide is the 11th track they put out. It's the song that Lil Uzi Vert sampled, right? I know it hurts sometimes, but you'll get over it. You'll find another life to live. He mostly just takes that verse and turns it into his chorus, but they've got a whole separate chorus here that I love. When you're caught in a landslide, I'll be there for you. And in the rain, give you sunshine. Ah, it's so cool. It's such a good chorus. One of their best.
Yeah, it's probably lyrically one of their better songs.
Absolutely.
It's just poor placement on the album.
You think? You don't like it in this big wave of popular songs?
No, not at the end of the big wave.
I see. Where would you rather put it?
I would have spread out those 4 songs.
You're probably right. That probably would have been good.
I don't know where, or I haven't put enough thought into it to tell you where. Just, I think those 4 needed to be split up.
That's reasonable. Well, this is another song that they wrote really, really quickly. They said, Landslide poured out of us in minutes after we heard that Josephine's brother had broken up with his girlfriend. We ran down to the studio and wrote this song as a way of comforting him, and indeed for anyone that has gone through something difficult. After 10 minutes, not even 15. After 10 minutes, we ran back in to show him what we had written for him, and it was a deeply moving moment for us all.
Yeah, I feel like they just need to take some more time.
Really? To do what? What's wrong with Landslide?
Again, I can write 50 songs in 1 minute if you let me just do the same thing over and over. You want 50 unique songs in 5 minutes? That's more impressive, right? I mean, you're just spitting out the same thing with slightly different lyrics.
This is not. They're all different songs. They're produced in a way that's very much the same, but they're different.
I'm just saying, it's really easy to follow a formula and just spit out music really fast with minor changes than it is to for a band who is constantly doing something different with their sound, but yet it still sounds like their sound. We've talked about some of those where it's like, as you go through an album, you get a lot of different sounds.
That's
or
true.
Different styles of songs.
Well, shoot, we just had it with the Police.
Yeah, but this is just following the exact same formula so far. We haven't had a single song that hasn't followed that formula, which is fine. If that's what you want your sound to be, it's fine. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Just don't be surprised when people are like, man, you kind of got one thing and that's it.
Well, this album is one thing. I can't argue that even a little bit, but that's why Ultralife blows it so much out of the water in terms of the sound and the scope.
Maybe we should have gone with Ultralife.
Maybe, I guess. It is very similar in terms of where it scores on my list. Finally, we'll get there when we get there, but Ultralife does score higher for me too. But there's just a comfort to this one that Ultralife doesn't bring for me. I don't know. Well, how did you feel about White Blood? This one breaks the mold a little bit in that it is so slow and so long and not a love song at all. Well, it kind of is, but different.
I must say it absolutely is what?
It is, but it's not a love song like, oh, I love you, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, husband, wife, whatever. It's a love song like they found out that their friend had a brain tumor, had cancer, and I'll always be your white blood. I'll always be there for you through that. It's a love song to somebody going through a really hard time.
Yeah.
Promising to be there for them and stand by them in that experience. They said, we wrote White Blood to explore the idea of needing immunity from disease, sadness, hopelessness, or fear, not only in the physical form of white blood cells, but also with simple human love and support. They said, we're all here for each other. That's where this song kind of comes from. Because, white blood cells are the immune system ones. They help you protect yourself. So someone who's offering to be your white blood is doing just that, offering to protect you from the hard and the bad things in life. How'd you feel about the pace of White Blood? I've always thought it's a bit of a stagnant, a lull on the album for me, which is, it makes the song more emotional, heartfelt, kind of what it needs to be, but...
It's so interesting because I think I have the opposite impact because this is, like you said, the first song to kind of break the mold a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It's still relatively soft and it's still the layered vocals, but it doesn't do the soft verse big chorus, right? It just stays soft and melancholy the whole time, which is honestly a nice change after getting 4 songs in a row that were so formulaic.
Sure. Yeah.
So I really like the piano on this one.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. And gentle. It's soft. This is, when I say that this is an album with no hard edges and no abrasion, White Blood is exactly the kind of thing I'm thinking about. So it's a really sweet song. It's a long song, and it's different. And then we kind of return to form a little bit, or a lot of it, with one of my other favorite songs on the album, Can't Get Enough, Without You. It's the last song for this album, actually. It was 15 out of 15. And I think all that experience writing the other songs and recording them and releasing them kind of shows on Without You. That opening piano riff is so cool. Do, 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 do. That hooks me right away. There's a good rhythm to it. There's shakers going. There's a saxophone in this. Josephine's brother plays the saxophone.
Ah.
Yeah, it's just a cool song. They said it's Frank Ocean inspired, and they say it examines the listless waiting around for your lover to come home. I think the chorus is great. I'm kicking up stones without you. Can't pick up the phone without you. I'm a little bit lost without you. It's all these elements of my life are different because you're not in them. And I'm trying to trying to navigate myself without you. And it's another song where they fill it with sad lyrics and disguise it in a happy sounding kind of way. What did you think about it?
I maintain my belief that if you played any of these songs individually to me, just like, hey, listen to this song, like, that's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
But 8 in a row, bit rough.
Even for
it loses its. I feel like 8 in a row off of only one listen, where I haven't really been able to get into the nuances of each one and figure out which ones are my favorites and really dive into an album. Just say, here, listen to 8 songs in a row that are basically the same thing one time each is rough.
I guess, but we're only halfway through.
I know. It's just like, I feel like it's not even that it's rough, like, oh, I'm getting sick and tired of it. I'm fine. It's just, I feel like you're like, oh, I love this metaphor. It's like, to me, it doesn't have that same punch because I've just heard the same thing with a slightly different metaphor. It's like metaphor overload.
Maybe that's fair.
You know, it's just like, okay, yeah, a metaphor about throwing stones or whatever doesn't hit the same when I also just had a metaphor about being in a landslide and a metaphor about driving and a metaphor. Yeah, it's just like it's not really. You're just telling me the same thing over and over.
Same message, different font.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fair.
You can only read the same message so many times in a row before it loses its meaning. You know, it's like when you say the same word over and over so much that it doesn't even sound like a real word anymore.
Yeah.
That's what's starting to happen.
Well, then surely you'll be fine with The Rain, where, well, it's another love song. We're getting into the back half of the album here, which is generally less popular, just in terms of like what's stuck with people and what has earned a lot of Spotify streams and repeat plays. The Rain, I like, but I like less than something like this would be towards the middle, maybe lower middle for me. I don't know. The chorus is also pretty repetitive on The Rain. I've given all my love to you, given all my love to you, given all my love to you. And that's what most of the song is. It's interesting. This was their 5th track that they put out, so it's earlier on from the collection. What the band said is they said, love is a dangerously exciting emotion. You have to give over all of yourself to someone to truly love them. Love isn't something you could do half-heartedly. The Rain is a song about the realization that you've given everything over to someone, and now they're no longer in your life. It's a crazy prospect that another human can be the cause of your downfall and emptiness, but taking those risks and loving with every inch of your being can be worth it.
You see, like, we're even getting a bit similar in our instrumentation at this point. This is like our 3rd song that's had the
synthetic horns and
the clapping beat. It also, I think, would have been better if it wasn't a 15-track album.
Yeah.
I think you can get away with a concept album filled with love songs, right? That are just like, oh, I'm telling like a love song. This is a love song album, right? I'm creating an album full of love songs. But then make it like 7, 8, maybe 9 tracks maximum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have 2 different albums out of this, the number of songs here. You know what I mean? Like, to be like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make you listen to 15 of them in a row. Too much of a good thing, right?
Fair. Reasonable. And you know what? That's maybe speaks to why they never thought of this as one giant collective body of work and why they put it out as singles 1 month at a time.
Correct. And I was just about to say that. It makes a lot of sense, too, to be like, oh, over the course of a year, I'm writing one love song at a time and just releasing it.
Yeah.
That is a better format than what I've had to do here, which is, oh, hey, look, a whole album of 15 love songs. Listen to it in one 52-minute session.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't make you listen to them for 13 months leading up. You would never have done that.
Yeah. Over the course of a year, listening to one love song drop after another, like every month, probably you'd be like, heck yeah, I love their stuff, right? But
yeah, maybe that's it too. I've had a lot more time to acclimate. Well, we're moving on through. You know, Dazzle is up next. Dazzle feels like Lose It Light to me. It feels like kind of the same style, the same sentiment. It just hits different. There's a lot more electronic buzzy synths in this one, a lot more dazzling imagery, shiny, gold, sparkles.
But again, I kind of like that because it's different.
Yeah, that's fair. It's an interesting song. This is a sad, sad song dressed up in glittery, glittery clothing.
Just like me.
Yeah, a sad, sad Connor dressed up in glitter.
glitter.
Well, this one was inspired by a documentary that they watched. It was called Louis Theroux gambling in Las Vegas. They said, we were saddened to see portraits of locals in Las Vegas who are totally consumed by the slot machines and have lost millions of dollars. Dazzle was inspired by their gambling addictions and examines the idea that those who gamble aren't actually in it for the money, they just want the thrill of winning. And that's what this chorus kind of ends up being. Well, the pre-chorus. Not in it for the money, in it for the thrill.
Yeah.
Living in the moment, paying for the kill.
This song musically wasn't as good as some of the other ones, but I just found myself really enjoying this one because it was different. It was like, it is a love song, but it's like a love song to gambling, right? It's like, oh, I love the high I get, right? Not so much I love you, or you no longer love me, or you have a brain tumor.
Yeah. Right. Right. All the kind of love. And it takes a backhanded stance at it because, oh, you love it, but we still are like talking about midlife wasted youth.
This is one of the songs I would have put in between the run of 4 from earlier.
Yeah, that makes sense. They also do some different things with the vocal production here. Just, there's a little bit more of a bite to it and an edge, and they put a little fuzz on some of those high register vocals that she sings. It's not all soft and, high mids, and there's a coldness in Dazzle that a lot of the other songs are lacking because they're so warm and close. Dazzle puts a little distance and a little chill there.
Then we hit the one big hit that they did separate from the pack.
Oh yeah, All We Do is another big hit. And it's another, what frustrates me so much? The Mixtaper was like, they wrote this song in 5 minutes. And you know what is true about All We Do? They wrote it in 4 minutes. So annoying. It's so true what he said. They've written songs in 5 minutes. It was just he said the wrong song. And so I got it wrong. Rough. Man. All We Do, great song. Apparently this is a New Year's Eve right, which is fitting that we're recording this episode on New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah. Happy anniversary to All We Do.
Yeah.
She said, we've been working all evening. Then I sat down on the piano, played, and Ant, which is short for Anthony, started singing All We Do, and it just popped out. They said it's easy to sit and do the same thing, play it safe, not take risks. If you don't critically look at yourself from time to time, if all you do is hide away, in other words, they said, it's easy to slide onto the conveyor belt of life and do the same thing day in and day out, which to us isn't living. Life is about challenges and risks and the excitement of the new and the unknown. And that quotation is a little ironic, given what you've said about these songs so far.
I was just about to say, a little ironic.
Take risks. Get off the conveyor belt. Do new things. That's not living. Challenge. Risk.
Well, it sounds like they do with their next album.
Oh, they sure do.
Just not here.
Yeah, that's interesting. All We Do has been featured in a lot of things. When I was looking up the stats about Livewire earlier, All We Do has like 8 or 9 sync placements and big credits, and that's really cool. There's so many lyrics in here that I like. All we do is hide away and chase the day. I've been upside down. I don't want to be the right way around. Can't find paradise on the ground. Like you have to get up and get searching if you want to find the right thing. All we do is hide when really we should chase. That's pretty cool. I'm really curious to get your top 3 at the end of all of this and see which of these songs
make it.
Yeah, what rose above in your perspective. Because I think there are a lot of options. If they're all so similar, I think you could go a lot of different ways with constructing a top 3. Another song that's a little different. Actually, we're coming up on a stretch of songs that I think are a little different. Midnight Moon, though, is different. And it doesn't seem like it's for the better based on the Spotify plays. It is currently the lowest of the streams. But it's got hand claps. It's got almost a sitar type sound in it. Midnight Moon is really interesting, and it feels like another late night party song, almost in the sense of Lose It or Technicolour Beat, but in a way that's less Technicolor, in a way that's less dancey, and just in a way that's like plucky. An interesting tidbit about Midnight Moon is they said this is the only song on the album that we didn't write in its total and complete form. Usually, as we already know, we write at a piano and just compose the whole song with basic chords so we know that it translates emotionally in its barest and simplest state. Midnight Moon is the amalgamation of a few different songs, a musical patchwork of sorts. We love the lyric, we're all animals out in the dark. Ultimately, we're all under the same stars and in a state of unknowing, but we can help each other get to where we want to be. So that's cool. We're all waiting for daylight to start. Over the midnight moon. Midnight Moon gets a little repetitive, but I like that there's some new sounds in it.
Yeah, I feel like Midnight Moon suffers with its placement on the album, too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty right.
This is a good example of sticking with your sound, but mixing it up to sound a little different.
Yeah.
Right? But yet it's still being core to what you wanted it to sound like. And again, this is just move this up to like between Lose It and Landslide or something, and I think it would perform a lot better.
Yeah, I kind of got to agree with that.
But again, I haven't really hated, like, sometimes we hit a song and it's like, I did not enjoy that song at all. That hasn't really been the case with any of these.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a good starting point to build from. I think one of my least favorite or least remembered songs out of this collection of 15 is Shark. Huh? Uh-oh. Are we allowed to? I don't know if we're allowed to sing Jaws. That's copyright. Anyway, Shark is another old one. Shark is the second track. They went Body Gold and then Shark.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting, right? Back-to-back combo. Shark, as they say, is a dark love song and explores the idea of destructive love, of someone being the demon in the dark that's quietly teasing out the shark in you. It was the second song we ever wrote.
Better than being the demon in the shark that's bringing out the dark in you.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. And I don't know. That's a lot to take in. Like the metaphors never really clicked for me. But they said it was the impetus behind deciding to actually pursue Oh Wonder and release the few songs we had, which is wild. It's fine. Shark's fine. I just find the melody less memorable than a lot of the other stuff on the album, and it's late in the album, so if there is a time that I'm starting to suffer from fatigue, it's probably around here, although again, I don't really think I do. The coolest thing they do is some of that rhythmic stuff, where they kind of hold the backbeat back for a minute and let you, like, hiccup with it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because I feel like I was getting my second wind right around here.
That's a late place to get a second wind.
Because we were getting some different versions of love songs, and we were getting some mixed up instrumentals, and like they were starting to reinvigorate me a little.
Yeah, that's fair. At least we're going into a strong ending then.
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, with a second wind.
I did not say it either.
Oh, right, sure. Well, Heart Hope is another one for me. It's the next to last track. Heart Hope was the last one released, so I guess Without You must have been the last one written, but then they held Heart Hope back and released it last. Heart Hope, it doesn't have any of the weight of these other songs. Heart Hope feels like a balloon floating away to me. I can't ever really grab it. There's a cool verse. You know, the verses are neat. They're building airplanes faster than the speed of light. It don't bother me. We need a little heart hope in the face of the world growing and changing. The message is cool. It's lofty. Of the song, Oh Wonder said that Heart Hope encapsulates what this record is about at its core. We live in a relentlessly and rapidly expanding capitalist society where the focus is on money, technology, gentrification, social media, and self-progression. What's actually more important than all of this is building communities, creating an environment of love and support, and looking at the bigger picture beyond our own limited views, what we term heart hope. Believing in yourself, whilst also working towards something bigger than yourself, is one answer to solving the world's problems. That's a lot to try and wrap into one 4-minute song.
Sometimes when they say heart, it doesn't sound like heart.
Really? What's it sound like? British people saying heart?
I don't know. Higher hope?
Oh.
Maybe. Harder hope? Maybe. I don't know. It's different. Every time I hear it, sometimes it doesn't come off as heart, even though I know it's heart.
Yeah, interesting. Huh? I do like the instrumentals on Heart Hope a little bit. Those synths that just kind of wee-oo, like way up high. Yeah, it's cool. There's a certain ambience to Heart Hope that I think is aight. But you know, one of my favorite songs on this album, maybe the most underappreciated according to its...
All of them?
Yeah, I guess. No, but there are certain ones that stand out more than others. If I were going to make a top 3, man, we're not done. There's still one more track to talk about. But as we get there, my top 3 would probably be Livewire. It would include Lose It. It would include Without You. And I really think Plans has a strong shot at being a Jamesable mention.
Interesting.
Plans is a song that closes out this album. It's a song about being far away from somebody and wanting to get close to somebody, right? You've got plans. You've got vision for how this relationship's going to go. You've got an idea to make it to this person and connect.
I also really liked Plans.
Yeah.
It's a good ending, I thought.
It is. It sends you off with a positive message. They said that Plans tells the story of someone who lives in a basement flat but has plans to get out and build a paper plane where they'll be scraping the skies with their fingertips. It's about believing in yourself no matter what and understanding that everything is transient. Everything will pass. You just got to dream big and have faith.
What is the human race's obsession with scraping the sky?
That's a good question. I don't know.
We named whole buildings after it. Those darn skyscrapers.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix, we had to excuse him while he kissed the sky. Yeah, I don't know. But it is such a hopeful song, such an optimistic song, such a cool closing track. And I just like the way they've built it. The snap kind of sounds and just the whole way it feels. It grows naturally and effectively. But I suppose that does it. Probably about time for final spin.
We're finally there.
Yeah, no more need to wonder about your scores. Find them out. Wow, I think there's a lot to like about this album. I think a lot of the things that you said about it are totally valid criticisms. Definitely a bit of a one-trick situation for the production and the sound and the style, but these songs are so well written, and to know that they sat down and wrote most of them end to end in like fully complete form is so impressive. I'm giving music a 90. I like a lot of their choruses. I like a lot of the ways that they build their melodies, and despite production kind of sounding the same on all of them, I do think in terms of structure and like songwriting, they're very unique. I'm giving lyrics an 86. A lot of love songs. We do beat that horse a bit to death, over 15 tracks, but there are a lot of cool lines and cool metaphors, and it's not bad. The production and the instruments, I'm giving a 92. They did it themselves in a bedroom with no experience. I mean, that has to count for something. There are a lot of really cool sounds here, even though, yeah, a lot of their vocals kind of feel the same, but even like you said, the layered vocals help support their breathier, quieter, warmer style. They've got a pretty good knack for things. I'm giving a 92 to the instruments and the production. It's samey throughout, but it's good. Overall vibe, I'm giving a 95. I really like the blanket feel of this album. I really just like to wrap up in it sometimes, and yeah, it's a comforting feel. And I guess in the same sense that you say you would listen to this whole album, yeah, I don't always engage with it on a deep and meaningful level, and I just put it on as other things happen, but still, like, I like that vibe from it, even when I'm doing those things. So, 95 for the overall vibe. That gives this album, from me, an overall score of 91. That puts it at number 72, a higher place than I think you'll probably put it, but it ends up above Simon and Garfunkel and below John Batiste's We Are.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And again, Ultra Life does rank, I mean, just above this one, like a 1/10 of a point difference. This one ranked number 72, Ultra Life ranks number 71.
That's so interesting.
But what's it mean for you?
For me, I think I've said all I need to say about this one.
Pretty much.
I pretty much like all the songs. I like their sound. Didn't love how this album was put together. And so, it's going to give this one 7 double Fs out of 10.
Okay, actually, I think 7 is strong. I'm okay with that.
Solid 7.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to recognize that the songs would all be good songs if you broke them apart. That's nice.
Yeah.
So, double Fs?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we talked about double Us. Why'd you pick F?
I don't know. I just think F's a cool letter.
I just think F is a cool letter. That's good. I was like, man, fail? Like, you know, like you're giving them an F? Like a grade?
Well, I was thinking we got double U. There's already double A's, like the battery.
Oh, double A batteries. Right.
Yeah. There's already like double L, like llama's pretty cool. But I don't know, F.
A lot of stuff has double Fs too.
Like what?
Like caffeine. Different.
Yeah,
effervescent.
These are some pretty $5 words you're throwing out. Seems like pretty sophisticated. Seems like sophisticated people use the double F.
Okay, sure. Sophisticated people use the double F.
I also was just thinking about a letter that would look cool to like smash two of them together to make one letter, and I thought F would kind of look cool.
It would. Yeah, you're right. So you're giving it a 7. Where in the 7s does it go?
Where in the 7s does it go? That is the question you've asked me, and the question I definitely have an answer to.
That's why I asked it.
It's gonna go. This is tough. It's right around the Fall Out Boy, Leonard Skinner, Matchbox 20 area of my list. And I think it's going underneath all three of those. I think it's going right below Matchbox 20.
Oh, and above Alanis Morissette. Very nice.
As for my top 3.
Yes, really curious about this part.
In album order. Kicking things off with my playlist pick.
Ooh.
Livewire.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Then we're going to Technicolour Beat.
Nice.
Then we're jumping down to White Blood.
Interesting inclusion. Yeah. You really did like that one.
Uh-huh. And then my honorable mention, and this one I think is interesting, because it's your Jamesable mention. We're jumping all the way down to Plans.
Nice. That's because it's a good song. Good note to leave the album on, for sure. Wow, so you take Livewire for your playlist pick.
Sure do.
I really like Without You, but I also really like Lose It. And I think Lose It would have to take my playlist pick in this instance.
I was hoping you would take Lose It.
Lose It feels a lot more like an Oh Wonder song than Without You, to me. So, yeah, there you go. There's our playlist picks.
I like the horns on Lose It.
Yeah. Okay, before we wrap the episode, though, do me a favor. Listen to, like, a little bit of Ultra Life, the song, and just, like, hear how their sound changes on the next album. The difference is stark.
I'll be honest, I skimmed through Ultra Life, and I picked a couple other songs, one in the middle and one at the end of the album, and skimmed through it, too. I do think I would have liked this one better.
Oh, you certainly would have, yeah.
There you have it.
There you have it. Instant backtracks. Cool. Well, there you have it. Hey, if you want more Spin It, you know where to find us, wherever you get your podcasts, but also on social media, at Spin It Pod Official on Instagram and at Spin It Pod on X, and on the web at www.spinitpod.com. Isn't that cool?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty nifty. We will be back next week with another album, and guess what? It's a Connor's Pick week.
It's a Connor's pick. Taking over the reins again.
Yeah, and I haven't even listened to that album yet, because, you listen to it one time the day before, so
Yep.
we'll see how that goes. I have no clue.
I'm very curious to see how it goes. It is such an interesting artist that we're doing.
It's a year discovery pick. I'll just say that.
Hey, yeah, I mean, that's what I said, a little tease. All the ones I'm bringing in the year of discovery are things I've discovered in this year. So this was a recent discovery, and I like it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun episode. Tune in next time for more. We will see you then, and until we do...
Hey, whoa. There's one more thing we gotta tell them to do.
Yeah, eat your vegetables.
Yeah, eat your vegetables, that's it. Hey, you know what? While you're eating your vegetables, tell a friend about the podcast.
That's true.
Tell a friend about the podcast that you would eat vegetables with. Set up like a vegetable eating date and then listen to the podcast while you eat your vegetables.
Salad day.
Kind of a basic vegetable for vegetable day, but sure.
What do you mean? Salad can be whatever vegetables you want.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot more interesting vegetables you could eat on vegetable day.
That's great. We could talk about that as soon as we tell them to
Keep spinning!
All right, what's your ideal vegetable day then? What vegetables are you eating?
Listen, I'm just saying, if I'm having a whole vegetable eating date on vegetable day, I would maybe go for something new. Maybe discover a new vegetable in the year of discovery.
What vegetables have you not eaten? Like now?
Oh, well, I've never eaten a black radish.
Is it different than a red radish?
Yeah, it's black.
Oh.
I've never had a loofah, an Armenian cucumber.
I can't say that I have either.
Or a kohlrabi.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a bulbous vegetable.
Oh, okay.
Never had... we've talked about nopal before, I feel like.
I've never heard of it.
Really? It's a cactus.
Oh. I just remember talking about all your favorite citruses.
Maybe you could eat some bamboo shoots, like a panda? That'd be fun.
Well, you enjoy your vegetable date.
Maybe a fiddlehead.
I'll be eating a salad.
Some sunchoke, a tiger nut, a yard long, red perilla, a dragon carrot? I want a dragon carrot for vegetable day. That's what I want.